Kuma has a subscriber. Wait, is my subscriber thing actually here?
Guys and dolls, hello, how are we? Welcome to Honey Badger 3D Print and Paint. We're also live on Akuma Mods TikTok. My phone is very carefully placed out of frame. So we are joined by the dream team. We're joined by Mike, a baby who got his wish to be big. We're joined by Akuma Mods, the resin printing god, Carl, the resin printing apprentice, and Phil, that guy.
Yeah, that man.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody.
So, today we are taking a look at the GK2. So this is the 10.3 inch. I was corrected earlier. The 10.3 inch 8K heated vat. Sort of spiritual follow-up from the GKOne. I don't think they spent a long time at the naming meeting trying to figure out what they were going to call it.
I know what the next one is.
You've seen the Anycubic range. That's orange. You've seen or yellow. Sorry. You've seen the Frozens. They're orange. And now get ready for green.
I've got to say, I really like.
Here, people, we're running out of colours.
I really like the look of this one because
you like the look of this box. I like the look of this box.
I like the box
until FedEx delivered it to me, and I don't know if you can all see, but this should technically have been straight.
You could actually get a rope and try and scale that.
Yeah, you could. Yeah.
Some of the little features they've put on this from the GKOne are really nice. Like
somebody asked if there's a heated vat. There is not a heated vat. However, there is a dual heater system on this. So a heated vat, I don't think is necessary for it. It would be nice to have it, but because it's got dual heaters, it's going to maintain that temperature at a perfect temperature, essentially. Like it'll be good.
Rick just saying that he picked up a standard Cobra for £89 off of eBay. That's a
good
steal.
price.
That's pretty good. I mean, the hot end alone, that stuff.
Yeah. Even if you break that for parts, you'll make more than 89 quid off of it.
Yeah.
Like, that's mad. All right, let's start by getting some of this open. So, as a side note, we also have this, which is the wash station from Uniformation. There's a lot of people who might pronounce this uninformation. I might or may not have been one of them. It's not that. If you can't spell properly, it clearly doesn't say that, but that's how I read it for like, I don't know, 6 months.
But to be fair, we didn't get a lot of information because we were told we were sent one package.
Yeah. So this here is this is the wash station that comes with the Uniformation. This is a 7-litre tank for IPA in here.
7 litres.
That's a lot of literage.
I've got a 7-litre one.
But
I've
literally what you do is you take the build plate off of the printer and you put it in and you press the cool button at the front and then it washes your print for you. There's also something that I actually quite like, a handy dandy tube at the back, which lets you drain out your the used IPA into something that's that's lower than the actual thing is. So you can actually drain it into a bucket to take it to the ocean and release it into the wild or whatever you do with your IPA. I will.
Resin God, isn't this very similar to the one that you did not long ago that was on Kickstarter?
So I didn't know that it had that. I still have to unbox mine. But if it is, that would be great if they actually made it to where it has a siphon. So it automatically does that. It pumps in and out. So there is one called the EBOS wash, cure, and dry station, or
That's
wash, dry, and cure. And it actually siphons in and out your resin for you every time. It's a really cool system, but that's for a whole nother stream here. We're talking about the Uniformation GK2 today.
So the first bit of information, which, hold on, right on here. I don't know if you can read. I don't know why I'm putting that up. No one can read that. So we level the GK2 build plate before delivery. Just as a backup, if you have any problems, please contact our technical support and they give you a leveling piece of paper. and test area things, little tabby bits. So
What's
that's
up,
good
man?
to know that we don't need to level this. And technically, I assume that also means we don't need to touch the Z offset. This is fill it up with resin and off it goes. That's the insinuation. We have... Here's the steps about using the Uniformation slicer. Is this GKTwo compatible?
From what I was told, this is on GKTwo, and I believe it is actually on there. However, it looks like the information still has the ability to utilize the Prusa slicer fork, which would be fantastic because, in my opinion, there is nothing comparable to the support system that Prusa slicer provides compared to any other slicer that I've ever used. So
really, see, that's interesting because
but it would be nice to also have the ability to use GKTwo as well. So
yeah,
well, I found it.
We use GKTwo.
yeah.
Well, when Matt posted something a couple of weeks ago about it on his group, I went on GKTwo and found it on there. So it was on there about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we have a couple of
beating up
things in
GKTwo
here.
right now to verify. Isn't Lychee
We've
slicer
got-
better? That's a debate for the person to person. So
A spare FEP and what looks like I'm hoping, I don't know if this is a
I-
spare screen protector. We'll get
I
the machine
prefer
out in a
Lychee
second to see
slicer.
what if one's pre-installed or not. But we'll
What do you use,
see.
Phil, when you're using your resin?
looking
To be honest with you, just a photon. To be, I don't really have. Yeah.
For those who use GKTwo, at least on the free version 1.9.4, this Uniformation GK2 is already enabled in there, so you have the ability to slice and print directly from GKTwo.
Nice. So I have to admit, I've so far on the Photon M3 Max, I've had really good results with GKTwo supports, and I would be unhappy about having to move away from. Interestingly, they don't have the GKOne on here, just the GK2.
Right, because the file systems are slightly different between the two. But I have asked about that. You can get the GK1 on there through a plugin, but it's not updated to utilize for the newest version of GKTwo. I think you got to be on 1.9.0 or earlier. So,
boo, American plug. E-waste.
The best.
So
What
what we have got is, I mean, I'll be honest, this is pretty well packed. I also like the fact that this is like much easier to break down than normal. It's got like little jigsaw puzzle pieces that all click together, and then you can just open it up like that, and then this all breaks up, nice and easy to throw away. So that'd be nice and easy to recycle. We are
doing the Uniformation GK2 today.
So
no,
we've
it is
got
smaller than the M3 Max.
Corner protectors.
Yep.
Always good. We've got the top piece of foam.
All right.
And then we are into... Oh, that's...
That's a fancy boy there.
So what, we had the Creality Hallet, that was blue. We've got Frozen, which is sort of like a reddish orange. We've got any Cubic and the Pegasus, which is yellow. So
no, the Pegasus is now available in pink.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the other, JSNC has also got that pink one, so that's weird. Isn't Lychee Slicer better? Better's a relative term. Like, so, Matt, you really like Lychee, don't you? Or did you? I can't remember.
I mean, I'm grandfathered in the GKTwo, so that's more or less what I use. But Lychee's got, it's good points. I don't like the navigation of how Lychee is. But then again, I'm used to using GKTwo, so it's like trying to teach an old dog new tricks type thing. I see it as that. But I do have all of the slicers that are possible that people use, just in case anybody needs some help. So I do navigate from time to time on Lychee, but more or less GKTwo is my go-to.
Yeah, I've really struggled with Shooty Box. So I pay for Lychee's Pro, and
Right.
it works really well. And I think I just like the layout and the simplicity.
Which
is
that's a
preference.
whole laughable situation in that, because everybody gave flack to GKTwo for doing the paid version.
Yes.
More than 3 months later, guess what? Lychee
So
does the
that
same
was
thing,
a
but not only
real-
that, Lychee has 2 versions
Yeah.
of paid
Pro.
services.
Pro. What's the other one
They have
called?
the Pro and
So
the
that
Plus.
to me felt very much like a Samsung and Apple moment when
They totally-
Apple removed the headphone jack and Samsung were like, "Hey, we're still the cool guys. Use your old headphones." And the next phone came out and they went, "Only kidding." No more headphone jack. And it was like, man, come on.
That's very true.
All right.
But again, yeah, it's the same. It's like with FDM. Everyone has their preference for a slicer.
Yeah.
You kind of, a lot of people like Brewster slicer.
Yeah.
Which.
So this is your your carbon activated filter, of which a few bits of the carbon have already left. So that might be a bit more inefficient than we were planning it to be. And I think, so when we go on the back of the machine, let's take these out before I do anything.
It's a lot brighter green than I anticipated, actually.
That's
It's a green,
I like it.
It looked
So
really
on
it
the
looked
back
quite
here, you
dark in
can
all the
see-
pictures.
We have this
It's a
big
nice
hole,
shade. I like this.
Mm.
and in this
I
big
like the
hole,
design. Yeah. I like the
goes-
design of this.
our big filter.
So this
That's it.
has got everything that you'd like. It's got a nice hinge mechanism. It's got the carbon filter at the back.
Yeah, and interesting. So, a couple of things that are interesting. First and foremost, this appears to be a completely sealed unit. So, I don't really see how you would ever change the actual carbon filter inside of it, but it is magnetic. So, it literally just goes and stays in there, and then magnetic pulls it out. So, so I feel like if you ever needed to change it, you're changing the whole unit and you're throwing the plastic casing away, which
You could probably make something cut for that.
yeah, you could probably fashion
The
something.
fact that it's on the outside of it as well.
Yeah.
And it seems to have the 4
So-
fans as well on the back, which is good.
Oh, I like the build.
Oh, look at
plate.
that build
Mm.
plate.
So this is one of the things that got me insanely excited. So in all fairness, I knew about this machine for about 6 months now. I've been kind of working side by side with
Oh my
Uniformation
god,
with
look
it.
at that.
And when they showed me the build plate, this is literally the same style build plate that I used to have on my WeBox 130. And one of the things that I love about it is the fact that all these other build plates that are on resin printers nowadays, when it goes down into the vat, all the resin spills up over.
Yeah.
This does not do that. It has a specific depth
Yeah.
to where it does not go over the resin. So there's a huge lip all the way around this entire build plate. And that's the maximum level for resin. Now, granted, you could probably overfill it and accidentally do that, but you probably don't want to. So,
But the
either
thing
way,
with
like,
that,
Well,
you can't make a mistake of having your bed loose with this setup.
Mhm.
yes, because it's
You
a
really
locking
can't.
system. It is not a
Yeah.
it is not a screw down.
Yeah.
It's literally you put it on there and then it shuts down. So if you forget about that, I mean, yeah, you could maybe still mistake that, but it's going to be a lot harder because once
then
you put it in, you just know to automatically lock it.
James, at the back are those 2 big fan grills at the bottom. Have they got filters on as well?
they do.
No,
indeed.
so that's the heating elements.
Okay.
So those are the heaters. So they don't really have filtration on it. It's just
So
a
the actual
single large
extraction fan is
filtration
up
system.
here,
Okay.
and then that extraction fan has this filter right on the back, so you can
Right,
actually you can see through that fan otherwise. And then this is the carbon filter that goes on. Interestingly, it extracts out to this, and this seals, and then it blows it back into the machine because it actually blows it back in through these grates down here. So even though it is a carbon activated filter, It's not extracting the fumes.
It's just circulating the
filtering
same.
them and then pumping them straight back into the machine. So it's not trying to take the fumes and chuck them out into the rest of your like workspace. It's still containing them inside the machine. That's quite cool. I like that.
Is that vat got a nice cover on it as well?
The vat has a nice cover on it. Yes, it does. So, well, I say nice. I mean, it's sort of a injection molded, plasticky.
That's better than what I've get before.
I mean, this kind of
most of the time you don't get one. So
came with this. So what's cool is they have this. You guys probably can't see it; it's all whitewashed there, but it does say like category, color, and number. So this is made so like if you have multiple vat systems, some people use that. I don't, but if you're going to fill it with whatever resin you want, you can keep it contained in there and basically have a vat system so you can know what color you're printing with and just do quick changes. So
see all the little features done with this, like the way the vat's held in, it's gonna stop spillages to a degree.
Yeah,
so that moves around. How do you
like
get
now? You
want
to do 2 screws and then you lift up like that, but on that it pulls out, James. Just slides out.
What is he trying to do? Oh, the vat?
Yeah, just slides out.
I like that.
It's good.
So it is a very interesting locking system that they have here. So it is not a tie down system. So this is what I say when you see these printers and they're on a whole other level compared to everybody else. They just do things differently.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, better than everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just one little thing. Like this is just a little locking mechanism that they have. So there's no screws at all on this.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to deal with, oh, well, I have to put these screws somewhere else. You don't have to deal with that. It's just, it's an injection molded plastic.
And the way they've got the overspill as well. So when the bed goes down, that overspill, like you were saying, is staying at the right height it needs to be.
So we are supposed to take this peel off, right, Matt? The peel that's on the screen.
One?
I mean, it literally says, please peel this. Yeah, right. That feels quite thick for like a shipping screen protector. Oh, okay, fine. So we still need to install the actual screen protector, right?
I'll have to check the instructions on that, but yeah, there's a good possibility that that's what that's for. So. Now, could you leave that little plastic piece on here? Probably. It's not going to hurt anything, but it's probably better to get an actual full size.
Oh, so this one's actually got. So on this one, it's actually. So this has actually got. You can see it's got like a proper border on it and everything else. This doesn't just cover the screen. It covers the whole. It covers the whole thing.
So that's an extra,
there.
James.
So when the vat's on there,
yeah. Sorry, there is a film on here. Sorry, yeah. But
so that setup is already on the printer right now, so it's already good to go. It's got a protective film on it.
So is the screen raised up a little bit? So when the vat sits on it.
So yeah, it is. So the way this is it's got the screen raised into this, and then this underneath part of the platform is what the bottom of this vat goes. There you go. You can see clearer on Matt's one there.
Yeah. I like that design. It's quite a nice design, that.
So this is how all of these style printers have been designed since from the get-go. Even the Uniformation GKOne has a raised platform over everything. So if there is any type of spill, it actually spills into like this back trough area here. So.
But would that prevent? So like a lot of people do crack their screens on the normal resin printers because they're flat. Is this going to prevent that happening because of the way the vat's designed to sit on there to a degree?
That's a good question.
Unless you've got something on there that you don't know, that's going to do it. You can't beat that.
Kane does printing now. Has just asked. It sounds good, but how long will it last with pulling in and out? If you check one of the sliders, it feels like it will move a lot. So let's just be clear. This feels like this is an injection molded piece, and you're actually, but underneath here, where the actual sliders lock in, these are metal, and this is all this is sort of an injection molded piece, but they're metal slides. So I wouldn't have any material because again, you put this down on top, and then you slide this back and it locks in place. So that's the longevity of that isn't something I'd have a material concern about. I really like the way this vat goes in. So just going in like that. And to be clear, even if you didn't put this lever down, this doesn't actually move. The printer just moves. So once you lock that down, that is not going anywhere. I like that. They've thought that through. Right, so it does say that beware spillage, max 700 grams.
So it takes a good amount of resin.
We're not going to put a full kilo in this anyway. The resin that I'm using is called Yayo, but it is just Sunlu rebrand. I've had some really nice results with it. I'll be honest, it does stink a little bit. It's got a little bit of a smell to it, but only if you're sticking your nose straight in the bottle. And I can't stress how much you shouldn't be doing that anyway. So,
well, not on camera.
If you're stupid enough to breathe in very harsh chemicals, don't be surprised if they smell weird. I suppose is the takeaway from the stream there. Like, just don't do that.
You might all be lucky later. Matt might put his resin printing god apron on.
Well, that's only when you know it's not serious.
Yep, that's it.
So is this like magnetic? This filter system?
Yeah, you literally just place it in. So the two black tabs that are either side, they're magnets.
Yeah.
How nice is that?
What's the hinge like, James, on it? Is it quite a nice hinge?
Really quite solid. So, so it doesn't lock in at various points. It only really locks in once you put it to full extension. It's got metal hinges and there's a single rod that goes through, and this does not come back past the back of the printer. So that is good. What I would say is that if you're wrenching on this, if you're like trying to put it all the way up, you will just snap the acrylic. So you do have to be, I would say, not necessarily, I mean, obviously you should always be careful when you're doing this stuff. I don't necessarily think you have to be super careful when you're doing this, but I do think you need to be aware. So don't be sort of wrenching on this up here.
It's the same with any cover, isn't it, on a resin printer? The more you abuse it, the sooner it's going to break.
Exactly.
So I just noticed in the back left here, there's a little silver plug that you can see. I'm pretty sure that is the temperature sensor.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. That makes sense. Right. Let's plug this bad boy in and take a look at what happens.
So there is a USB plug in the back as well, I noticed.
Always in the back.
No, there's one in the front as well.
What's the one in the front?
Yeah, there's one in the front as well.
In the back. I wonder if that's it for a Wi-Fi module.
I was literally about to say that. I wonder if it's for a Wi-Fi dongle.
It's a decent sized screen as well.
So first and foremost, this isn't particularly quiet.
No.
You should be used to that by now.
The filtration system is definitely not quiet.
So the question is can you... So if you go down to settings, no, that's model.
So the screen is much better than the GKOne. The system setup, at least, it's a lot nicer. It's more of a professional looking than like basic Android stuff, because this is an Android base. So let's see, settings here. We go system settings, maybe. Alert volume. Yeah, we're definitely going to turn that off.
So did you have speed settings, Matt, for the original one?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Do you have speed settings for the original one you did?
I do not, because these printers really shouldn't be messed with, to be honest. Okay. They are made to print slow, so they are going to be a slower printer than normal. And the reason for that is because they maintain the dimensional accuracy of the part. So if you design something, it's going to be right. Granted, this is going to be depending on what resin you're using as well.
So what is the
So-
printing speed for this? Like, because obviously they say like 60 millimeters an hour or something.
You know what, I
Second,
don't-
and I will tell you. So the
Don't
print
know that
speed in
offhand.
the stock Cheetu profile is so retraction speed 150 millimeters a minute, lifting speed 50 millimeters a minute. So
it is slower.
it's slow. Yeah. I mean, so for some context, on my M3 Max on using the Akuma Mods speed profile,
So-
we're at 300 across the board.
So
So
here's something that no other printer that I've seen has this. This is terrible. But this actually shows you suggested life of LCD screen is 2,000 hours. Looks like there's been 12 hours of print time on this so far. The light source has a recommended life of 5,000 hours, and it has about 12 hours of print time on it. Then it says recommended layers of NFEP is about 8,000 layers. So
wow.
for that question that everybody asks is how long does FEP last? Well, this FEP at least tells you. So that's kind of cool.
So-
It looks like we have a number of layers printed is about 15,975 layers on it so far.
So I'm
So-
just looking on their website. They're actually saying that the filter needs to be changed after 15 days of continuous use with the filter.
Really?
So it says one of the biggest issues surrounding resin printing these days is the strong familiar odor that accompanies most on-market resins. Unique odor purification circulation system uses honeycomb carbon filter. The machine absorbs most of the harmful odor normally associated with resin printing. However, should you be printing consistently and for long periods of time, it is recommended to replace the filter every 15 days.
Okay.
Fair enough. So hello 5-minute vids. Hello Renata.
So has it got on
Renato?
there how much the filter is to replace?
I'm looking now.
It doesn't. If I go onto their website, I'm just having a look to see whether or not there are GKOne parts. Yeah, they've not got any of the stuff listed for
No, they've got no new bits yet.
GK2 yet.
So the VAT on the GK1 was $40 to replace.
Yeah,
$200 for the screen.
Yeah,
it's got
so
an
it'll probably be a similar price. Usually they're pretty quick on getting this stuff to Amazon, but since this is technically still in like pre-order stage, nothing is available right now for parts. So, but I'm
Which
sure
makes
by
sense.
the time it releases, they'll have something.
So we'll just quickly go through accessories. So we get a little box of filters for putting resin back into your vat, a box of gloves that nobody will ever have small enough hands to be able to have unless you're literally putting them on the hands of a small child, a bag of mystery screws, always fun, the obligatory blue clippers. You get a little hex wrench, which is quite nice, plus some more Allen keys and a pair of tweezers. You get a big fat spatula. You get a silicon bendy spatula, which is interesting. And you get so this is quite fun. So you get a funnel, which is very clearly too small for the filters that they give you. So this is the funnel. This is the filter. I'm not trying to
This is
criticize
very, very
anybody,
slowly.
but whoever packed these two things wasn't paying attention. Like, like, come on, man. Like, come in. But fair enough. So maybe smaller filters, or maybe just a slightly larger funnel. Either. But yeah.
Hello, all out. My bloody boys keep ringing the freaking doorbell just to piss me off. Like,
Have you
I
got a
look at my
doorbell?
phone, I've got a video doorbell, and they just constantly push it. And then when I look to see who it is, they go,
I thought it was only me that did that.
"Oh."
I honestly don't know if I've ever met children that play Knockdown Ginger on their own house. It does show a significant lack of creativity, if I'm perfectly honest, because they already know.
Or laziness.
Like,
Well, they just like to annoy me.
that's fair.
I'm contemplating
to
put
annoy
some
you.
like like some sort of taser device on it, so when they touch it,
Yeah, just give
you
it
get
a
a
shot.
massive shock.
Well, I mean, you can wire it up to the mains, but
could try.
I'll be clear, it's normally received poorly by social services. Like,
Well, they'll
I
find out
should
when they
think
come
your
and push the
postman will
button.
have something to say and all.
Yeah, I was gonna say yeah.
You
Yeah,
won't be
you'll
getting
probably
any
stop
parcels.
getting post pretty sharpish.
Just leave it
Just
at the
stop
door.
blowing
Don't
it
touch
at
the
your
bell. Watch out for the dog and the bell. The first three letters of
So
fun
we'll
all
put
spell
that back
fun.
on uniformation.
All right, so it looks like we're going to have to use the system here. Nothing's pre-sliced on the USB drive, at least. So
I'm just having a look to see whether or not we've still got the. I thought we had the frozen test thing downloaded
Yeah.
it's
somewhere.
Honey
but I
Badger
can't
British.
find it.
Yes.
Do we know if the vat has got levels as well, leveling for the liquid? Because I'm just thinking if you you don't want to go
Pour it
over the
in.
build plate.
So these do have feet adjustments on them that you can level the entire unit if need be. So
Makes sense.
So you'd have to, obviously it's not got an auto refill, has it? So you would have
no,
to.
there
top
is
it
no
up.
auto refill. However, there is a spot for one.
Okay.
So maybe future there might be an additive. I don't know. But yeah, that's I know a thing that a lot of people want nowadays. There are some other.
So
companies that are
I'm going to
working
say
on that.
something that a lot of people are probably going to find quite controversial. I
That'd be
think that
first.
if you have a machine that is 10.1 inches or under, I really don't think that an auto refill system is actually that necessary. Bearing in mind the size of vats, bearing in mind the size of print that you can do, and the amount of resin that you can normally put in here, I would say that whilst an auto refill is convenient, I don't think it's particularly necessary.
It's not necessary.
For these kinds of for this size of machine. Certainly anything under a 10. I mean, this is a 10.3, sorry, but anything under a 10.3 is Honey Badger British. Well, I am, but the Honey Badger itself is not. The animal isn't British. They actually, I mean, a fun little fact about why we called ourselves Honey Badger. Honey Badgers spend most of their time in the wild randomly attacking lions.
That's right.
And I want to be clear, they don't do it for any reason. It's not like the lions attacking them.
Just for fun.
It's also the part of the lion they attack.
Yeah,
Makes
the,
yes.
They
the
do
nether
attack
regions.
exclusively the lion's testicles, which is very confusing when they try and attack a lady lion.
Like that makes me think it's just fun they're doing that for.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's a dare. Your
Yeah.
turn today. Go and grab those ghoulies.
Oh, shall we go and wind him up again?
He's just eating a horse. Let's go and piss him off.
Right, so I've sliced the frozen test.
Look at him laying there all quiet, having a sleep. I'll tell you what'll really make him laugh.
Do you know what I can smell? Fear.
Right, USB. This is a very nice touchscreen.
Just to be clear, though, neither of us can actually remember why exactly we chose that name.
We originally chose it, and I'll tell you why. Because before we did the 3D printing channel, me and Mike were part of an air rifle club, and in that air rifle club, again, we were the Honey Badgers. There was about 5 of us. The other 3 went and did something or died. I don't really care what they end up doing. They're not here anymore. But we bought T-shirts that just said Honey Badger. Don't give a, and we're not going to say the F word because the GKOne Mods has been banned 3 times on TikTok, so we're not saying that again. But it's just said that, and then we got in trouble. So we used to smoke cigars while we were down there because I want to be clear, we were super hard. So we were all like, all of us.
By the jackets we've got, like we was obviously in a gang
with their Ford
All of us were
Escort.
like members of the A team, except we were all only the guy who had the cigar. There was none of us. We were all Hannibal. There was nobody else. So we did that. So we were sitting there with our Honey Badger Don't Care T-shirts on and smoking a cigar. And then we got told we had to start smoking outside because we were being intimidating, which was hurtful on a number of levels, especially because half the time the range was empty. So the only person who could have complained was one of us who was sitting there smoking a cigar. So that was super weird. And then we got in trouble for standing outside because there was like 5 of us, and apparently we were quite loud. So that was also brought up at a meeting.
you got an
that we all
ASBO.
had to sit and go through. So eventually we just stopped going.
Pretty
So
much,
the
they
old-
took all the fun out of it, so we stopped going.
The oldest people to get ASBO in Essex.
Yeah. Right. So I have put on. There we go. So I've put on the frozen print test.
They've just changed that, haven't they? Their little print test.
Have they?
Am I right,
Well,
Matt?
I've used the frozen XP.
Well, I know
Finder
they have a
V2.
couple different ones now. They have
They've got a
piece
new
together
one, haven't they? Yeah, on their
I haven't
TikTok.
seen a new one now that they have.
It's,
Well, they've
very
got
complicated.
they've got like the Rook one, haven't they? The one that's like the twisty tower. They've
Let me
got
find it
that.
and I'll send the link.
But frankly, I think that the frozen test V2 I use quite often as an exposure test because it helps me to figure out layer heights and whether or not I'm going to get the right sort of quality out of it and all that sort of stuff. So I personally quite like just using that.
Agreed. That's what I tell everybody to use, and it's super easy to read and just verify where you're printing at. It's meant to get you within a printing range. Now, there's the other frozen test that Carl's probably talking about, where it's multi-piece and it's got different angles and stuff like that. That's more to dial it in even further. The frozen XP finder is just to get you to the point of printing without having major failures because of that. So
Kuma's been banned 3 times. Yes, he has. He has been banned 3 times.
I think it's actually
Is it 3 now?
no, it's just one. Just one.
I can't remember what the
Let's try.
video was that you brought out either. Oh no, I do. I remember. Yeah. And we're not even going to talk about the video that it was because that'll probably get a ban as well. I'm not saying that we're better. I'm just saying that we haven't been banned, so we're super kid friendly. That sounded weirder than it was meant to. We are. It's okay for children to watch us on TikTok without anything weird-ish going on.
While smoking a cigar.
Only between
So
certain
they
hours.
do-
While smoking a cigar. Yeah, we're not allowed to smoke on TikTok either.
On
Oh
the
God, you
USB
can't even smoke
drive,
on TikTok. You can't even vape.
No,
now, can
you can't vape. You can't simulate you're doing it as well.
You can't simulate it.
Yeah, because
What?
there's
Like
been-
just sort of like.
yeah. See you later, Matt. There
He's
you go.
gone home.
Literally, I did that. See it, buddy. That was so bizarre.
so
Oh dear.
Brilliant.
I will let you know that they do include a test print on the SD card here. So
Oh, okay.
James, in private chat, I've put the
USB.
new one in. If you want to have a look at it, it's an interesting one.
Is this the one that's? Is it the one that's got all the cones and stuff in it?
Yeah, it's got a lot of
tones of
features. On it.
calibration.
Yeah.
So they do include that. Wow. So they include some really cool models. So Wicked apparently gave them a Marvel Wolverine bust
Yeah.
as a print file.
Yeah.
Then Collective Studio gave them Craig Strathfriggs. I don't even know who that is. No idea. Never heard of it.
No. idea.
STL Flicks gave them an eagle, which that eagle's really cool.
Yeah. Seen that.
And then Villain Design gave them. Oh my God! I was going to download this. That's awesome. I was literally going to download this from my mini factory. I had it saved. So it's like this guy that's like looks like a demon essentially, and he's holding up a light like he's searching for something.
Cool.
So I think we'll.
I am just going to go and grab my tub of IPAs so that I can fill up this.
So I
fill up
noticed
this cleaner.
someone sent me a link the other day on Thingiverse. You know Wicked 3D that we love?
Yes.
They've released some of their older models on there now for free onto
Sweet.
Thingiverse. So they've dropped like a Moon Knight, they've dropped a Superman, Baby Yoda.
So
Captain
I
America.
will also let you know that on the USB drive, they do include Shitu Box as a slicer, as well as their Uniformation slicer, which I think is a great addition to this printer. But if you don't want to have clutter, Shitu Box will work just as well. But I personally like the slicer that they use. even more so if they if you're utilizing their resin, all the profiles are already pre-set up, ready to go. So you just add their resin and you hit print. There is no need to process it or anything or do test prints on it. So we actually have some of those resins here, so we can actually use it.
What's their resin like, Matt? Because I've never used their resin before.
So their resin is pretty good. I actually I have a couple prints from the Uniformation GKOne. This is their higher end resin, I guess. It's kind of like a little bit better than ABS. And it's really weird. You can tell right away when you go to remove like the supports from it, how different it actually is, because it's more like rubbery supports than it is like just, you ripping away and they're solid. So it was really weird removing supports from some of the stuff like this. But this was printed with their white X22 blend, I believe it is. So this is more their rigid resin, as they call it. And it's very interesting stuff. But I mean, it's...
So just to be clear, you're not doing a test print.
I will be doing a test print right now. I'm loading up some resin. So
I was going to say, I was about to understand why they banned you.
Well, a test print
being a Maverick.
Let me rephrase that. I'm going to do a test print, not a calibration test.
Look
print,
at that skill from James. Not to spill a millimeter.
Some Uniformation resin, so I already have the profile set up in their slicer.
So I had like 5 liters, and that hasn't filled it. In fact, I think I'm actually going to have to go and get my reserve IPA because I don't think that's enough to put in there. It says don't put in less than 2 liters. Turn on the power only when the liquid exceeds 2 liters, otherwise the machine will be burned. So, I mean, there's definitely more than 2 liters in there, and actually, it's probably fine because I'm just going to scrape off the. I'm just going to scrape off the thing, but I will go and see if I've still got any other IPA laying about.
So this is actually rebranded eSun resin, and I know this because Inland is literally the same exact bottle. So that's interesting. They changed carriers from their old resin. I hope these are just as good as their old stuff.
Because on TikTok, it's Homemade Jam, isn't it? She's got a GKOne. And some of
yes,
her prints,
she does. That's
some
Jamie.
of her prints off. Yeah, her prints are incredible off there.
I believe she has a GK2 as well. I don't know if and when she's going to be doing an unboxing, but she was one of the handful of people who basically built Uniformation with me and everybody else who was part of that. So,
is this the first GK2 in the UK as well, James? Because they didn't sell them in the UK, the GK1s.
It is I think it's the first one in the UK. I don't think it's the first one in Europe because I think
no, it's not. Teddy has one.
Yes, he did it last week, didn't he?
Yeah.
What? Teddy's in France, right?
Yeah.
Teddy's in France. Yeah. Either that or whatever country he does live in, no one can understand him because he speaks French.
Yeah, I tried to put the closed captions on, and I couldn't even read that.
It doesn't
he
decipher.
understood me at least. So.
I was hoping it translated quickly for me, and I was like, oh no. Oh no.
So I mean, this is a really nice.
Google.
Bye, Luna. So I have to say, this is a really nice washing station. So the way this is supposed to work, in theory, is you're supposed to be able to just take the build plate off of the printer and just stick it straight in here, which is cool.
So
there's definitely just over 5 liters of IPA in there. So that'll.
You were asking about, is the machine leveled? Well, definitely this is not level being on a TV dinner tray, but you can see all the resin is pooled up on the right side. Now that doesn't mean that we can't print like this, but it's probably best to actually adjust
so you put
a little.
Way more in yours than I put in mine.
That's because he's a god.
So, you can actually use the bubble.
Lives on the edge.
He's got resin going through his veins.
That's a lot. How much did you put in?
I filled it to the max line.
Did
700.
He goes all in.
Yeah, so like in the back here, there's a line that says 700 on it. So that's
James
your max.
just used the end of a bottle, didn't you, James?
No, I just used a bit of a bottle. I mean, this is brand new. We all saw me crack it open. Like, this isn't old resin. This is sort of fairly new.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we'll just see whether or not it works. I'm quite interested to see how the wash and cure station works, to be honest.
So
I don't really
I
see
will
how this
say-
silicone thing is going to work.
Clearing out the vat.
So
this has a trigger on it. This hood. It has a trigger for the heating system.
also it turns off when you open it.
Yeah.
Energy saving.
Oh, yeah, so it does.
On the left side, there's a trigger.
Yeah,
on the hinge.
yeah. Same.
Phil, it just
Up in
stops
this
us
top
getting our
corner
hair
here.
burnt.
Well, I'm good.
That's why I'm wearing the hat. The
Yeah.
glare.
Yeah, that's why I moved my camera down a little
That's
bit.
kind of interesting.
So
I
one of
had
the
my
things,
hair
as I
cut
said before, one of the things that is really good
Just
about
paint
this
the colour.
10 years. I've not had a haircut for 10 years.
is that you get this siphon hose. So you
That's
just
for you
turn
to
the
suck
tap
on,
at the back.
James.
Pardon?
That's
Just
for you
to
to
get-
suck on to get
It's
the
like a
vacuum
shisha
going.
pipe.
Right. I don't know why you would suggest that I do something that we all know I probably would do. Like,
Now we're all
So-
leveled.
So
Maybe
as much as I liked the wash and cure, it's quite a big
Mm.
setup for
it
both
is
of them,
big.
isn't it?
Yeah,
But that
I
is
mean,
just
it is.
wash.
And I mean,
Cure is a separate station.
yeah, this
Is
is
it?
just wash. So there is
And,
another.
like-
There is another station that is the cure.
And you need some
Which I think
pipe
we
for
said was
the-
$125, was it?
why is the
Let
max
me just
never
have a
one
look.
mil
So
later?
I
have
know
no idea.
hold on. The curing station, the washing station. So the curing station is $159. This washing station is currently $199 US. Now, to be clear, yes, it is specifically supposed to work with the build plate from hey Yordi.
Yordi.
So it's an
Yeah.
ultrasonic.
He's in the comments.
So it's
So
an ultrasonic wash
this
station.
wash station is supposed to work with this particular build plate. But if you take stuff off and put it into, there is still a cage inside.
Oh, okay.
there's
Yeah, I was going
still,
to ask that.
There's still a cage in it, so you could still use this with any
Yeah.
any other resin printer. Like, it doesn't have to be that one specifically.
Their resin's it's priced quite nicely actually. It's like $40 for 1 liter. It's not bad that,
Yeah.
which is probably about
Yeah.
£40 as well.
Yeah, we can work it out nice and
They're
easy now.
bio-based.
Yeah, it's really easy to work out now.
You don't have to get a calculator out.
So they're plant-based white resin. Yeah, 1 kilo, $32 US.
So we are going to be using their orange and red resin here. So,
I want to be clear. I'm only using the Yayo because I managed to get like 10 kilos for £145 off
That's
of
cheap, that.
off of AliExpress.
have to
That
send
was
me the link.
including shipping, and it was shipped from the UK, and it was here inside of a couple of days. So
That's
nice.
really, that wasn't bad. Bearing in mind, this is literally just Sunlu resin, just with a different brand. It's cheaper somehow than Sunlu's selling it. So like, you can't really complain about sort of the quality that they're chucking out. It prints exactly the same print settings as Sunlu. I've done my hold on.
Well, so Sunlu is
So
J.
this
They
is
always
one
say.
of the things that I've printed on the M3 Max, and this was in that Yayo resin. So
To be honest, the new brand style of Sunlu resins, it's really nice actually.
yeah,
They've really took
Yep.
it on a. They've done something really good to it. Like their plant base is quite nice to print with.
Yeah, and that's another thing. It looks like they decided for Uniformation that they were going to do mostly plant-based resin, which is nice because it's low odor usually, and it's not as toxic as the other resins because it's plant-based.
So I'm currently, and I didn't realize this, but I'm actually printing this print test on 0.02 because that was the stock profile. I didn't pay attention to it and change it. So
how long is it printing that then?
Well, it
give you an
actually
estimate?
says here the number of bottom layers is 35,
Whoa.
which feels quite high because I normally have like 6.
Mhm.
So all of this is bottom layers basically, and the bottom
Whoops.
layer exposure time is 20 seconds.
Where's this company based? Is it European or is it China?
What, Uniformation?
Yeah,
China.
China. Okay. So 2016 they formed.
Wow. This slicer is using up a lot.
So your slicing settings? How many bottom layers do you have? Because 35 does sound like quite a lot, even at 0.02. Like I normally have like 5.
I can't do anything right now. Hold on.
I take it you're using their slicer, are you?
Yeah, but it's locking up my computer bad. Like it's using 100% of my processing power. Holy cow!
I'm using CheeToBox, and it isn't.
No, definitely not. Oh, there we go. Okay, slicing finished. So bottom layers. Let me see what it says here. Material settings. I don't know if it's got bottom layers on here. Let's see.
So what I will say while Matt's having a look at that is, so I've used the photocentric Opus, which is like a 7-gram machine. We've used the Pegasus 8K. We've used the M3 Max. I mean, obviously we've had photons and things like that. We don't have anywhere near the breadth of experience in resin that Matt does, but this feels like one of the more premium machines, if not the most premium machine that we've ever used. It's certainly like the way that the screen works and the way the screen looks, the way it's put together, the build quality, it's all absolutely bang on. And even when you look at like the way that this wash and cure station goes together, like it's just built really nicely. And I think what I like more than anything else is that it's clearly purpose built. So many of the ultrasonic cleaners are just generic ultrasonic cleaners that you can buy online, and then they've just slapped their logo on it and maybe changed the color of the lid. But this is very clearly a purpose-built, purpose-designed thing that they've come up with and that they've put forwards. And the same, I would imagine, is with their curing station as well. So
And
Matt's
that's it,
got
isn't
one of
it?
their curing station.
You buy a resin printer, you forget how big you actually need to wash and cure. Like I had my cubic one I had to get rid of. It was too small for my Mono X.
So is that the Warrior? Is it that like the Death Knight thing?
Yeah. So this is the one from. Hold on. Who is it from? It is from Villain Designs.
Right.
And this is essentially what it looks like, which is crazy because, like I said, it's
that's cool.
This is how it is. Supposedly, it can print maybe unsupported. I don't know, maybe it's just on an unsupported model. But this is what the Uniformation slicer looks like. And like I said, everything is set up here, especially if you're using their specific resins. That's what I love about their stuff because there's no need to do test prints or anything. You just print and go. But if you're doing third-party resins, then obviously you're going to have to come into like your material settings and change your exposure times. But you're asking about bottom exposure and stuff. I don't see anything like that. Like I don't think they let you change anything. This is basically everything that's here for the material itself.
Is there not like an advanced mode or anything? It's just
maybe
it says on the website the exposure time 2 to 3 seconds a layer, isn't it? 0.05 millimeter.
Yeah. So to be fair, it is on 0.02 layers. Exposure time is 2 seconds a layer. It's just that obviously the bottom exposure is 20 seconds on 0.20. But
like is the accuracy of
0.01 sounds like a lot. I mean, again, just to be clear, on the Anycubic M3 Max, I'm using 6.
It is on export mode.
for a layer or bottom
No,
layers?
sorry. The M3 Max, I'm using 6 bottom layers at 30 seconds.
Okay.
The Uniformation is using 35 bottom layers at 20 seconds.
Wow.
So it's a lot.
Yeah. See, it doesn't really tell me like what the difference is unless it's here. Okay, so that's right. This is different.
That's probably why I have lots of failures. I do 4 layers
So
at 10 seconds and go for it.
My bottom layers are normally enough to do my raft. Like that's normally what my bottom layers are for, because I have a raft underneath all my supports and none of my models print. I don't print any of my models flat on the build plate. So so I always tilt mine. So my burning layers really are just burning the raft into the build plate, which means that I don't really care for the most part if those bottom layers are over cured, because I'm going to be removing them all anyway, because they're all literally they're all just literally what's holding the supports to the build plate. So if anything, I prefer to really bake them in than move them around. But you know.
So it says bottom rest time, distance. Yeah, it doesn't really tell you anything about the layers or anything. This is all support stuff, so this isn't going to be here. That's very strange that it doesn't have that information here anywhere. 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter. So this actually has elephant foot correction and everything on it. Like,
yeah, I was just reading on their website. It's got 0.01 millimeters for the Z axis accuracy. That is
which I'll be clear, when you're talking about printing in 8K at that, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah,
that's impressive.
So I mean that's what sets this printer apart from any other ones that you normally see. Is they just do things a lot differently than everybody else. But when it ultimately comes down to it, sadly, everybody sees a price tag, and that's what usually warns them off about it. So. So this does also have built-in storage. It's got a 3.5 gigabyte storage on it. So that's quite a lot.
That's huge.
What is the retail price for this? Because obviously it's...
So right now, last I remember was $749 for the pre-order, but I don't know what the actual price is going to be.
So $750, which is about £750, that's quite cheap for an 8K printer.
It is.
So just to be clear on here, just mute this, Jesus. So it says, so the GK2 and the cleaner. So what we've got here is the retail is $1,099.98, but the current price is $900.
So for the wash and the printer, it's supposed to be basically $1,100.
Yeah. What is interesting is that right now on their website, if you want to buy a GKOne, which is a 10.1 inch 5K, it's $779. And if you want to buy a 10.3 inch 8K, it's $764. So the GK2 is currently like 12 to 13 pounds cheaper than buying the GK1.
Wow.
So I think they're doing that just so people are more interested in the new printer.
Yeah, almost definitely. And it doesn't
but obviously
that
is a pre-order price. So just be aware that the actual retail price is going to be $900 for this printer. So it is a very steep price tag, because you got to think only for a couple $100 more, you have something that is a 13-inch screen that is the Anycubic M3 Max. But again, the quality difference between this printer and literally anything else within a $500 price range up or down is not even going to be comparable to it. Like it's just a different printer on a different level.
I'll say this: it's a very premium feeling machine. So much so that you can really immediately tell the difference of what you're using. This is a different experience than using say the Pegasus 8K or certainly the M3 Max and things like that.
It doesn't even go on top of it. On top of
That's
the
what I'm saying. Like this
That's
is one of the
impressive.
things that I love about this design is that
just
it
saves.
doesn't overflow.
It just saves a lot of resin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to worry about dripping your build plate all the time.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, sure, you could still drip your build plate to get the excess resin. But the problem that I always see is like resin gets caught inside of like all the little screws that are usually on top here when you have the resin go on top. So whereas this design, you're not going to have that issue. So
I'm just looking for what I want to put on overnight.
Has it got a bit of weight to the build plate though? You know, when you take it off, is it quite heavy?
Yes. Yeah.
You could put on part of that thing I want you to print.
I will say it's not as heavy as like the M3 Max build plate, but it's close.
Got a bit of weight.
Definitely like probably the weight of two.
I think that might have been a no mic.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That angel.
Oh, yes, I do. Yeah.
It's
I don't know
not-
if it'll fit on this, mate. I don't know if it'll fit.
So, and it looks like they have
It's all
upped
in
the
pieces.
speed on this printer as well compared to the GKOne, because this model, let's see how big this model is. Come on. This model is showing that it is 118 millimeters tall, and it's printing it in 6.5 hours. So
So
it's
how
definitely faster than the GK1 because that probably would have been like double that. On the
how do you
GK1.
turn the heaters on then, Matt? Can you go into the screen and go?
So it's automatic. I don't believe
Okay.
there is a way to turn them on and off via the screen.
Yeah, no, I just looked through. There isn't. So it keeps
So if
everything at a stable temperature. What it will mean is that ultimately this will use more power than a regular machine because it is always running those heaters. It is currently off right now. Two heaters, sorry. The heaters are currently off now, and when the heaters aren't on, it's not that loud. But when those heaters kick in,
it
must have a set temperature.
26 degrees. It says a constant temperature.
Oh, okay.
So anything below 26, it'll kick in.
There you go. So it's just kicked in now. So I don't know if you can hear this.
The ceramic as well.
It's not particularly quiet.
I suppose once it's hit temperature as well, it's probably going to just maintain it.
Yeah.
Probably won't be on the whole time, which is pretty good. I think it's much more useful than the refill tank on the M3 Max.
Yeah. What I will say is
especially in this country.
So my other machines, invariably, I just leave them idle. Like I'll leave them. I'll probably leave them on when I'm not using them. Like right now, my M3 Max is off, but my Pegasus is on, the Bamboo Labs is on, and the Sidewinder are on. They've been on for days and they're not printing anything. I would not be leaving this on standby. I would be turning it off when I'm not using it because whether or not it's printing, it's still going to kick that heater in.
Yeah.
And there's just no reason to have that heater running if I'm not going to be printing.
Yeah. So is that the ultrasonic machine there, is it, Matt, or is that the Cure station?
So we have our basket, we have an outlet pipe, a power cord, put the basket in the machine and connect the pipe and the power cord. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Cleaning size is 228 by 128 by 200. This is specifically designed for this build plate to just drop in. But that doesn't mean that we can't try other build plates and see how it does, or maybe make some sort of a bracket so it can be utilized for other printers. But this is going to be, like James said, a little bit better quality a wash station than your typical ultrasonic cleaner.
It's just a case of, generally speaking, or at least in my experience, when you're dealing with when you're dealing with, certainly with wash stations, invariably they're not made for that particular machine. They just
Right.
there just happens to be a company that is making it. Like it's not really for that machine. And
Well,
obviously that won't be the case.
Well, this is quite a big printer, isn't it? So obviously, like the bigger printers you've got, the other 8Ks will fit into that wash station. They will fit into that cure station.
Yeah, they should
Or
do,
like-
or I'd expect
yeah.
them to anyway.
Anything that's like a 10-inch screen should be okay. So I do like
And
this.
to be
if they-
fair, a large
I
number of the
finish-
prints that I do aren't. They aren't. I'm not filling up my build volume every single time I print. So I'm normally printing sort of little bit. I'm printing smaller bits and pieces, but multiples of. Most of what I printed, for example, for Green Goblin, most of that I would expect that it would print pretty solidly. To be fair.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm probably not going to utilize this system most of the time, just because of the way that my processes work. I usually just take my prints off the build plate and then set it to go for a next print. But that doesn't mean we can't try this out and give our thoughts on it and everything, and kind of go from there. Because always want to try stuff out and see how good they actually really are.
You could buy a spare bed, couldn't you, for this one, for example?
Yeah, I think so.
Like you'd be able to take that off, pull it into the wash, get your next print on, and
Absolutely.
I'm just taking a look at my. So I'm going to do, because I'm a maverick, I'm going to go straight to a hollowed out bust from Photos Mint,
which one?
and I'm going to do Gore, the God Butcher,
Oh yes,
because I think that it's a very heavily textured, very heavily textured cloak that's over the top. Photos Mint does some absolutely stunning models anyway. I'm going to throw some supports on there. I'll go at the same. I'll be doing the same. It's 100% size. I'm not going to scale it up or anything else, but it already pretty much fills the build volume anyway. So that's going through and adding supports at the moment. And then,
one of the things with Photos Mint is all his files for Lychee Slice are pre-sliced with supports. They're not for Shooty Box and that. So that's your other advantage with. I find with Lychee.
Right. Okay.
I'm finding a lot more Patreons like who do detailed prints are going towards Lychee at the moment.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can't import those from Lychee.
Yeah. So to be fair, Gore the God Butcher that I've got, there's one that specifically says that it's Lychee, but then there's the STL files that are hollowed and supported.
Yeah.
So you could just import those ones instead. Like it would appear at least that he's offering both. I mean, obviously this isn't going to be a particularly quick print, I wouldn't have thought, but we'll wait. I mean, I'll see I'll slice it and see how long it's going to take. Bear in mind that we're still 35% of the way through doing that. Through doing
Matt,
just the frozen test with 35 bottom layers at 30 seconds. Like,
Matt, all your resin print is there. It looks like an advert for Skittles. Like all
pretty
the different
much.
colors.
But you definitely shouldn't be tasting this Forbidden Rainbow.
So let's see. I have orange, yellow, kind of orange. It's like a darker orange, like burnt. Then we have red. We have black. We have orange. Then red. Then green.
You need to put a light behind there so it just glows of all different colors.
So something I would be interested, Matt, have you got your UV torch?
My what?
Just your UV torch. You've got that torch you use for like spot clearing, don't you? Can you lift the uniformation lid and shine from the inside out? Because I don't want you curing your resin to see whether or not it actually does block.
There's
So it's
nothing.
blocking it.
There's nothing. So
That's
here
pretty
it is
good.
on. If you guys can see it, okay. So it's on right now.
Mhm.
All right. I don't see anything. It is completely black.
That's
so it
good.
blocks everything.
Yeah. So I know that there was some heavy, unsurprisingly, going Creality's way when they did the halots on the first series of their halots. They put the blue perspex on the top, and it didn't block any UV light. so sunrise would hit somebody's office, and the whole thing would just turn into a solid block of stone. It's like your resin printer was like a golem.
Anycubic had that issue when they first brought out the original photons.
Right.
So.
Not Mike's version, because Mike's version is a Tony Stark Memorial version.
Would it happen to be the yellow one? Was it that one?
No, this is the Tony Stark Memorial one. So we spray painted it gold, and it's got
it's color change gold.
Color change gold. We then put a red tint film on the inside where all the panels were.
No, it ain't a film. It was they had them cut.
Oh, that was right. Sorry, they're actual tinted, and they're not just tinted. They're tinted and they're what's the sunglass thing with like they're refractive or something? They're polarized. There you go. Look at that.
Oh, that looks good. Yeah.
And the arc reactor lights up as well.
And the arc reactor lights up when you turn the printer on.
Nice.
Unfortunately, we've not turned that printer on in 2 years. There's a good chance that if we do, much like Tony Stark, it will be dead.
Yeah.
But it looks good.
Yeah.
But it does look good.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
Exactly.
It's basically just there for show.
Yeah. It's a definite conversation starter. But most of the conversations are, why did you do that? And then we don't talk to those people. It really helps flesh out the people you don't need to talk to in your life.
So, yeah. So far, so good. I mean, I'm waiting to see if I can get something out of here. We're only 5 minutes into printing.
I was going to say, we're 44% done.
36.
And there's another... Well, that's definitely a lie. They reckon there's another 2 minutes left, and it's 44% done. Well, I'm not being funny. It's been printing for a long time.
So another thing I think is an error, which I needed them to correct in GKOne box, is I think the Z is wrong in GKOne box.
How wrong?
Yeah. So they have the Z set at 200 millimeters, which in actuality, this printer has a 245 millimeter Z height. They had an issue with the GKOne like that as well, but they were able to quickly correct it on their slicer's end. But with GKOne box, it might take a little while for them to fix that error. But you can always just change it and have it done for the rest of the machine. So.
Well, give me 1 second because I'm just slicing
Why did
raw.
you do that?
Once I've done that,
browsing.
The record's it's only got 1 minute left and it's on 47%. That's just a lie. That's just an objective lie. 1 minute left. Nonsense. What time is it now? It's 12 minutes past. So this reckons at 13 minutes past, it's going to be done. No way that's true.
Well, I'll see you guys in 6.5 hours.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, gore that I'm putting on appears to be 19 hours.
See, and I think those settings are off in GKOne box, so I'm gonna have to either talk with them or somehow get inside of the Prusa fork that they use for their slicer, the Uniformation slicer, and try and import those settings to get a better print time, because I think that is insanely off. Because like I said, on the Uniformation slicer, it says that this print that I'm doing, which is 118 millimeters in scale for the Z height, is going to take me 6 hours and 39 minutes to print. So
say mine's. It doesn't say how high it is.
now, here's a cool thing that I didn't realize until just now. They break it down. So, like, okay, G2 Box does a general breakdown of, all right, this is how much the print is going to take in terms of resin amount, right? On this slicer, the Uniformation one, it actually tells you a breakdown like the object is only going to be 91 milliliters of resin, and your supports and your pad are going to take 28 milliliters of resin. So that's kind of cool that it breaks it down for that.
Yeah.
I mean, either way, you know what
this just literally says it's going to be 151 grams.
Yeah. So you know what? Now that we're talking about this, let's do a print time comparison. I'm going to put the same exact one, same print in the G2 box and see if there is a major difference in time frames.
Mike, have you got your King of the Dead there? Your that Lord of the Rings one that you do?
I've got one.
So this one's a Photos Mint one, and yeah, so ours did have a bit of a failure, but but show them what you did to.
I haven't got any batteries in it.
You should scroll.
What's
up
even the point then?
When I told you our origin story.
I think this was one of the first one of Photos Mint I did actually.
That's the same one.
It's the same one, yeah. So 2114. So it's definitely lying. It still says it's got a minute left and it's 55% done. So that's just an objective lie. It's just lying.
Maybe it's working off. Maybe it's working off Matt's time.
Yeah. I hope not.
All right. So let's slice this up and see what it says. Oh, you know what? We got to do seconds. So we're doing 3 seconds actually with 30 bottom. Yeah, that bottom layer count is not right. There's no way that's 30
way it's right.
There's no way.
So you are right. The Z height is set to 200, so I can set that to 245 easy enough.
Yeah, I knew that right away because as soon as they implanted that, I was like, this is not right. And I don't know if they ever got back to me about it, but
I'm reslicing this with 10 bottom layers because 35 is just insane.
So print time comparison is waiting for Shituba. What's up, Frank?
Right, it's now 2116 and this has gone up 6%. So if it doesn't know, don't just take a punt. I just go, I don't know, you figure it out. It'll be done when it's done. Leave me alone.
Yeah, come back.
It's like it's being printed by a petulant teenager.
Oh, I'm at 1% finally.
And again, my heater's just kicked in again. Oh.
Okay, so yeah, there's something vastly off because this same exact print is telling me it's going to be 18 hours and 16 minutes in G2 box. And in their Uniformation slicer, it's telling me it's going to be 6 hours and 39 minutes. So yeah, we definitely have to adjust some settings in here. These are not adjusted correctly.
I feel like the speed settings, I feel like you could play about with the speed settings in G2 and probably get a pretty decent.
So here, let's put in some Akuma mod settings really quick. Let's go off this.
Well, so let's see. So on the M3 Max, you went to 300 millimeters a second on lift and bottom speed for everything.
Yep. Pretty much.
And I think you also cut the Z lift height. But to be fair, the Z lift on height on this is not that high. So I probably wouldn't bother too much with that.
All right. So putting in, so I said it was 18 hours and like 16 minutes, right? With the Akuma mod settings. Let's set this up here and see what it tells us.
So this is what I've done on the It's been sat waiting for like 2 days. So I got my knife, but that's that
Okay.
dual color resin.
Mm.
It is so nice.
Mm.
Yeah.
So we went down from 18 hours and 39 minutes with my settings, 4 hours and 9 minutes for that same print. So I can essentially print faster than even the Uniformation slicer sets. That's with my settings.
So that's you're slicing that on the M3 Max, are you?
No, this is slicing it on the Uniformation GK2.
Right, and all you changed is the Z lift speed.
And so now, granted, that says 4 hours and 9 minutes. It's probably going to be more around 5 hours. So let's just say that, because we can adjust the print time compensation in Shitu box to match what the actual machine prints at. So for future prints, we can actually have an accurate time after the first print. So
right.
And your print that you just did, your test print, should take about 12 minutes to print.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't actually say how long it's been printing for. Oh, yes, it does.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. It just says right. It's currently been going for 39 minutes. It's at 68%.
Yep.
And it still says it's got a minute left.
Yep.
It's
like
saying
London
it's had a minute
buses.
left for the last
Yin Lee,
12 and a half minutes.
Anyways, I'm gone. All right, man. Have a good one. Yeah, so that's just with some quick settings. That's not even like doing some fine tuning here and there. And we can essentially bring that down because this is doing exposure at 3 seconds and 30 for the bottom, which some resins can print at 2 seconds even. So but that just goes to show you how ridiculous my settings can be.
Right, so I'm re-slicing this. I'm doubling up the bottom retract speeds without. I'm not touching anything else. I'm just doubling up the retraction speeds, and I've taken my those bottom layers down to.
So
down
here,
to 10.
I'll show you what my setup is.
Right, and oh no, it's still at 19 hours. Oh, that's really annoying.
There you go. There's your settings if you can see those.
Now, I'll put batteries in it now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that looks cool. Hold on,
If
let
I
me
just
just make.
turn my lights off, you'll be able to see.
Oh my God.
Oh god, well that's horrible, Matthew. Like, what do you expect me to do with that?
Let me switch it to a different screen.
Oh, Inception.
It's like the Matrix.
Yeah.
That's it when it glows.
Let me bring this
Hold
over.
on, while Matt plays with his. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah,
That's
There.
awesome.
That's better.
Is that just an LED light in there?
Yeah, just a bulb.
There,
So
we
you've
can
got
even bring this
300.
down.
No, it was actually a failed print.
Yes.
It's actually got splits in it.
Yeah,
But
that
there
was
you
the
go.
one. Yeah,
There-
James did that, didn't he?
There's
Yeah,
all
you
your speed settings.
You set
Put
the
it in.
walls too thin.
Let it rip. I'm not responsible for you breaking a machine. If you
Yeah, you set the walls too thin, so when it printed,
Look
it
up on
split.
that.
Wasn't that in the black Tutti box resin as well?
What's your light off delay, Matt?
0. I hate
Can't
light
remember
off
what
delay.
resin he used.
Yeah, that was the black. Was the black resin that I used.
So our layer
Perfectly
height
honest
is
with you, I can't remember. I can't remember which one I used.
all right. So our layer height is set at 0.050 instead of 2 millimeter. Bottom layer count is down to 6. Exposure time is at 3. Bottom at 30. You'll adjust those as it is. Transition is 0. Linear and light. Light off delay is 0. Bottom light off is 0. Then basically everything on the left side is going to have numbers, and everything on the right hand side for the next columns, those are going to have zeros in it. So you're going to do 7, 8, 7, 8, 300, 300, 300, 300. So Bottom lift distance is going to be 700 and 0. Lift distance is 8 and 0. Bottom retract distance should automatically be in there. Retract distance is in there. Bottom lift distance is 300 and 0. Lift speed is 300 and 0. Bottom retract is 300 and 0. Retract is 300 and 0.
It wasn't the resin he used, Matt. It's just that he set the wall, he hollowed it and put the walls too thin.
Yeah, so
it was just
I tried to go down to a 1.1 millimeter wall.
Whoa.
And when it sliced it, I actually looked at the model again, and it very clearly had those gaps in it. When it sliced it, it cut through parts of the model, and that's what caused that layer separation. It was just I tried to make my walls too thin. To be honest with you, it was me just trying to be cheap more than anything else. Like I was just trying to use as little resin as possible, and
so
that's where it got me.
Talking about resin and what you guys do a lot of like larger models, right?
Yeah.
So Frozen actually has this new resin out called Speed Resin. And essentially what it does is it prints at a 0.15 layer height, but it still produces the same quality as a 0.050 layer height, if that makes any sense. I don't know how they do it, but that essentially takes print time and cuts it in half. Now add my Akuma mod settings, and that cuts it even more in half. So you could essentially print like on the Mega, my max on regular settings with my speed settings is 32 hours. To put a mask on there, full build volume on the speed settings is like 6.5 hours print time.
Yeah.
380 millimeters. With my speed settings, it's like 2 hours and 40 minutes for a full build volume print. There's no printer that can touch it. None.
So we're on 82%. There's still 1 minute left.
Yeah.
It's a long 1 minute, isn't it?
It's very consistent, though, to be fair.
Been going for 39 minutes.
3 millimeter is minimum. You on about wall thickness, Matt?
I think he means
The problem with UC resin, I may have
3
an old
millimeters.
batch. Are you having issues with your resin? Have you done calibration with it? My first and foremost.
Have you done something other than a lithophane?
A 3 mil one.
Don't worry about answering that question. I already know the answers now.
Yeah, like do a little tiny.
Yes, Carl.
You do walls at 3 millimeters thick. Wow.
If you're
got more money
hollowing.
than sense. 1.5, I go.
So I'm sticking at about 1.9. So 1.9 mil at the moment gives me, because of the types of models that I'm doing, seems to give me the best I can get, I suppose. Gives me the best chance of actually being able to get the thing out and still preserve all the detail without it being. So the one thing I did notice on Mike's model is that even after I cured it, and even after I sort of post-processed it, it's actually still like really, it's an ABS like resin, and you can it's almost like TPU. It's completely
squishy.
It
is. Look.
Yeah,
ABS resin's quite strange, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really
like
weird.
It's squashy. It's more like a rigid TPU.
It's got a lot of flex in it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's not got as much as TPU, but it is squashy.
So LOL, I've proved myself. I'm doing models now.
I think it either means he's improved himself or he's impressed himself.
Probably both.
So you guys are talking about new resin and rigidity and stuff like that. There's a new one that's going to be coming out that's basically they showed this off and they printed a wiffle ball, if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
They printed one and they bounced it against the brick wall in resin.
Was that Frozen?
This is Frozen.
Yeah,
this
I saw that
unnamed bottle. It is new stuff that is not out on the market. Only a couple people know about it, but this is Impact Resin. So it is made for very, very heavy duty, durable stuff. And like I said, their
Would it
test
ask me,
video
Jack,
was
because I've seen him use a mallet to put a model together.
yeah. So,
Oh, like 2 times, and it wouldn't go. The key was really tight.
Yep. And then the other video that they did with this resin is they took a printed chain and picked up 3 or 4 fire extinguishers. With
they
it.
picked up 3, didn't they? Because they said, let's do 4. Or should we get a 4th? And I was like, wow.
So that's the same stuff. And they only gave me a little bit. Like, this is a liter bottle of resin, but I think there's only about 500 grams in here because this is probably going to be very expensive stuff.
We're up to 91%. The good news is there's only 1 minute left.
It seems like it's took forever to get to a minute.
Time flies when you're having fun.
I'm not sure you want to be labelled 1 minute James, though.
Never
Wouldn't be
mind.
the first
I
time.
don't just.
His wife's
have
got
a
worse
500
names for him.
Yeah.
That is true.
30
Very
seconds.
hurtful person. She calls me horrible names all the time. I got out the shower once, and I
Oh,
walked
here we
into
go.
the bedroom, and my wife said, "You look like a 5-year-old has carved you out of a budget ham." Just a rough approximation of a person, just all pink and horrible. Just like when you buy a ham from
generally
like
has come out
Lidl
with
or
some of the
something,
best
it's got that
insights I've
horrible
ever
layer of like gelatinous fat around it.
Was it
I
like
was
that
also-
picture I sent you? Was it that
Yes.
picture I sent you on Messenger?
Yeah,
The pink one?
yeah. So she says hurtful things like that. She once said to me, I was getting ready for work, and I put on a black t-shirt, and she said, "You're not wearing that, are you?" And I said, "Why?" And she said, "You look a bit like a bin bag full of coleslaw." I was like, "It is 6 a.m. What is wrong with you?"
I don't know what.
James, is your printer still really loud? Because mine's like pretty much quiet, except for that.
Mine's
that fan.
quiet now, but it keeps kicking up every now and again whenever the heater's on. If the heater turns off, it's actually sort of pretty normal noise.
But then you're in a garage, and Matt, you're in a basement. So your temperature's going to be more stable than it is in the garage.
Oh, right. I get you. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, the thing is once, like, if I touch this, it's not warm, but it's not cold. Like, normally this would be cold. I would say that I can feel that perspex is warmer than it would normally be. 97%. Only 1 minute remaining. Black is slimming. Yes. Black is slimming, and apparently I still look like £9 of crap stuffed in a £5 bag. So that was lovely.
I genuinely love her insults. They're so imaginative.
She once said that I look like the new cartoon Noddy.
Yeah.
I wore
And you did. In all fairness,
sunglasses.
you did.
Yeah, she said that. So anyone can Google what the new Noddy looks like.
I'm just doing that now.
Yeah,
And
of course
she
you are.
made
Yeah,
him.
that's
She
super
made
fun.
him put them on so that I could see how much he looks like Noddy, and it was bang on.
So that made me very angry. And then the other one was, I think you came round and I put some sunglasses on, and yeah, Phil's found it. So I put some sunglasses on, and Mike reckons I look like Penfold out of Danger Mouse, the little fat rat thing out of Danger Mouse, or the little fat mole.
But in all fairness, she had totally agreed. Like,
Yeah,
she
she
even
didn't
Googled
believe
it. She even
me.
Googled it.
It
See how
either.
close
She was
it
just
was.
like, yeah, you do. Right. The good news
Is
is we're at 100%. It has now finished, and there is exactly 1 minute remaining on this print.
All right.
I really feel like it should just put sort of like a confused face on it and just be like, no, I don't know.
Well, I
it'll be
think
done when
it's
it's done.
probably
I don't know
more
what to
the
tell you.
connection with the machine and Shitu box. So the Shitu box isn't the greatest software when it comes to machine stuff.
Right.
But I do highly suggest checking out their slicer. The support settings that are on that slicer are unmatchable by anything else that I've ever used. Like, I would prefer to slice my models in that slicer, export to Shitu box, and print from there. For any printer on here. Never had a failure with the settings. Oh God, he broke it.
Whilst I'm doing this, I try and remember some of the other hurtful things my wife has said to me. She
There's
once
so
said
many
to
of
me
them,
that I look like the before picture in every single weight loss picture she's ever seen. That was a really nasty one.
Wow.
I don't want to swear. So she actually tells you what she thinks of you, or your
Oh,
wife
yeah,
doesn't
absolutely.
speak what she
And-
doesn't,
And she tells other people once she's done it.
Yeah,
just to
all the
get a
time.
reaction.
and they
she's
don't
impressive.
ask.
She's impressive.
She
She tells
volunteers
people.
the information.
Just volunteering the
I
information.
was once out in the garden. I'm not showing off, but I was working hard. Right, I had removed my shirt. It was a hot day.
You was just
Right.
going to have a Diet Coke.
I was, and my wife came out, walked past me, and just went, "That's disappointing," and went back inside. She didn't even come outside for anything. She just saw me with my shirt off, and she walked past, and she just went, "That's disappointing," and then just walked off. Like, what
Such
do I
a
do
love-
to deserve that? That's what I want to know.
A loving wife.
Like, I'm a good person. That's unnecessary.
What's up, Andrew? Yeah, working
Right,
on
I'm
that
gonna turn this
six-pack.
off for a second because I'm going to plug this in. And then we press play.
The fun times with
Not an old tape deck. I'm not feeling particularly good about the quality that may have come out on this model, but to be fair, it's also had 30-second cure layers for what I'm assuming is the entire time.
Yeah.
So I'm not holding out a high hope that this is going to be a particularly beautiful model, but we'll wait and see.
Well, the next one, just use my settings. It'll be much better.
Well, I actually have. So the so I've resliced the I've resliced that Goro the God Butcher, and it's gone from 19 hours down to 7 hours 40.
That's
That's
a
much
big
better.
difference.
So that's a huge difference. Easily cut the print time in half. And actually, so I use on the M3 Max, I use Akuma's profile. It's the only profile that I use.
Yep.
I don't think I've actually touched wood. I've not actually had any failures at all on the M3 Max. I think I had one where I was printing the back cabin of the train, and it's literally a cube that you have to try and pivot on its edge, and it's got windows in it and everything else. And no matter what I did, there was like a strip in it that was a very clear layer shift, or was sort of just wasn't printing right. And it was definitely my support settings, like it wasn't anything else. So yeah, so I had that, but then I printed it again and it worked fine. So
Welcome, welcome.
So, okay, I've popped that model on this USB drive. Pop that back in there for the time being. This has got another 60 seconds on it. I got offered a job at a mirror factory. I can see myself doing it. Right.
Yeah, but the problem with working in a mirror factory is you just sell used goods all the time.
This is why we don't get to go cool places, Matt.
That's right.
It's that sort of stuff. That's why we don't get invited anywhere. This sort of stuff that causes us to be shunned by the wider community. If you've ever wondered why both me and you aren't getting the subscribers that you want, one is that
That's
I
right.
constantly admit how much my wife abuses me on a daily basis, and the other are those jokes.
That's right.
All right. This is finished. So
Buy
let's
one
take a
image,
look.
get the second one half off.
Yeah, I mean that is savagely overexposed. Jesus Christ. that is absolutely brutal. Jesus God.
So for anybody that's automatically wondering about the build plate on this and you know the big thing, can I put a flex plate on it? I don't suggest doing that with this printer. First and foremost, there's no real way that I can see that you can adjust that without having to print an adjuster piece to trigger it a little bit different, and I wouldn't really trust that. So it's made to be a one and done, one shot, ready to print, and that's it. So
Right, let's give this a go and see if I can. Oh, there we go. Right, in a second. So as you can see, pretty savagely overexposed.
Just yeah.
put that up on big screen. There we go. Focus.
Yeah.
It's hard to see the lettering, but yeah, it kind of does look overexposed.
The other thing as well is that lettering is completely flat. like it's not raised lettering at all.
The layering on that is just
it's just
ridiculous.
managed to push it into the rest of the resin. Like it's so it's not
So
good.
far, it's the only good thing about the new monsters.
Right, so I'm going to pop this printer back on, and then I will start the print again. This screen is just so nice. Like, I really like the screen.
Is that touchscreen angled a little bit at the front, or is it just the way it looks?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's like 80, 82 degrees rather than 90. Like it's not angled, but yes, it is.
It's like a 10-degree pitch, if that. So.
Right. Okay. Cool. So it's now printing that one. I think we can probably call it a night there. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for everyone on TikTok joining Matthew as well. Always a pleasure. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. We'll have the full review of this and the wash station coming out in the next couple of weeks. We have loads more coming on the channel. I've done a giant green goblin model that is taking up a large amount of my life and is really creating a nice emotional barrier between my family and I. So that's coming up. We've got Mike's Gandalf coming up, which is behind him. We've got Hannibal. We've got getting back to actually doing models rather than just loads and loads of reviews. But we've also got some reviews coming up. So we've got the X-Tool D1 laser. We've got a Voxel Lab Aquila, their new FDM machine, which we'll also be giving away. And on the channel, we have just hit 10K. So we will also thank you very much. We're incredibly famous now, but thank you all anyway. So we'll be doing a giveaway for that as well. Plus, me and Mike are going to be going to Form next in November. So there's loads and loads of content that will be coming from that. We'll be meeting some new companies, making some new friends, probably making some new enemies. We'll even do a height check on Sam Prentice because he is much shorter than you think he is. Yeah. Everyone thinks like,
I've got a bit of a bad back and I can't bend down that low.
Honestly, he is 5'6" if he's an inch.
I think he could actually pass as a dwarf on Lord of the Rings.
I agree. I'm suspicious because I still think that Sam is actually like 4 2-year-olds who are just trying to sneak into an adult movie. Yeah, they're just like all in a trench coat, trying to rock backwards and forwards. Matt German, I hear he's smaller than a dwarf. Well, he'd have to be shouting that because he's so far down you'd never hear him.
I bumped into him at the CTC show and I went, "Oh, sorry, kid," and I was like, "All right, Sam."
Terrible.
Yeah,
terrible. So anyway, we will be seeing all of you guys very soon. Thank you very much, Phil, Carl, Matt, and Mike for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Have a lovely day, and we'll see you all soon.
Take care, everyone.
See you later.
Bye.
Yeah.